Hi, boys and girls. Marvelous MaLinda from Mars coming to you with a new story. This one is called George the Babysitter by Shirley Hughes. It's one of those books that I found high up in the closet. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. George the Babysitter. Mike, Jenny, and baby Sue's mother goes to work during the day, and George comes to babysit. He looks after the children, and together they look after the house. Now, says George, let's clear the dishes from the table and stack them on the sink. Not one is broken. George helps, Mike helps, Jenny helps, everybody helps, except Sue. She's just a baby. She sits in her high chair, dropping her bread on the floor, a little bit at a time. It's kind of what babies like to do in the high chairs. Now, let's straighten up here, says George in the bedroom. The beds aren't made. There are comics all over the floor. And who's been walking about in muddy boots? But the toy cupboard is too full to put anything away. Anybody have that problem? George thinks that there would be a lot more room if they threw away some of these old broken toys. Mike is great help in carrying them out to the trash, but Jenny thinks it's a shame to get rid of so many old friends. Luckily, Sue has cleared an entire shelf of the bookcase all by herself. It's just right for Jenny's old toys. Sue was very tired from all of that work, so George puts her down for a nap. George takes Jenny and Mike outside. Perhaps we could do some weeding, says George, but Mike and Jenny aren't sure which are the weeds and which are plants. Neither is George, so they pick 4 flowers for Mother when she comes home. It's time for lunch. Jenny thinks she can remember how the knives, forks, and spoons go. George serves the soup, and Mike helps Sue with her chocolate pudding. Yum! Chocolate pudding. After lunch, when George sits down to read his magazine, the children play a game of boats with cushions. The shiny part of the floor is the sea, and the carpet is the land. Sue keeps getting out of her boat into the water. When there is a shipwreck, they have to climb up George to keep from being drowned. George soon says crossly that he's had enough of this game, so they go out to the shop. At the shop, George buys some chewing gum for himself and some candy for the children. Sue sits outside chatting with her friends. On the way home, they stop at the playground. George pushes Jenny very high on the swing. When they get home, George thinks he will finish off painting the sitting room window frame, but this is not a good idea. They all watch television instead. Suddenly, George remembers that none of the washing has been done. Now Mike and Jenny do a really helpful thing. They give Sue a bath all by themselves. They make sure that the water isn't too hot and hold on tight while they soap her all over. Afterwards, they put her in her nightie and even remember to brush her hair. There's someone at the door. Mother's home. Now it's time for the children to have their supper and go to bed. Mother says they've all been very good. How could George have managed without them? The end. Boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed this story as much as we did. Have a wonderful day.